The police procedural or police crime drama is a subgenre of procedural drama and detective fiction that emphasizes the investigative procedure of a police officer. While many police procedurals conceal the criminal identity until the crime is solved in the narrative climax, others reveal the perpetrator's identity to the audience early in the narrative, making it an inverted detective story. Whatever the plot style, the defining element of a police procedural is the attempt to accurately depict the profession of the law enforcement, including such police-related topics like forensic science, autopsies, gathering evidence, search warrants, interrogation and adherence to legal restrictions and procedure. Let's start with the novel Helen Passes By. Newly minted as Deputy Assistant Commissioner of Scotland Yard, Bobby Owen was not at all happy about the direction in which his murder case seemed to be moving. And he says, "This isn't a murder case. It's just a psychological problem where none of the ordinary principles apply. And how the dickens am I going to find the answer?" Indeed, there were many great seeming extraneous happenings associated with this murder case. There was a murder, to be sure. There were reports of missing boats and missing people. Virtually every step taken by Bobby Owen towards a solution appeared to end up on a byway as an irrelevant clue. There was a distinctly hostile wave of public opinion that believed members of an aristocratic family were avoiding arrest and quite possibly exploiting their own privilege. And then there was Helen, who, like her mythological namesake, was said to be so lovely that every male who sees her instantly fall head over heels in love with her, and that could spell a motive for murder. Then we come to The Laughing Dog. It was the most unusual drawing. It was a portrait, apparently of a dog, drawn by a street artist. It was supposed to be a brief portrait of a person who was sitting for the artist. In this case, a caricature of Dr. Hugh Challoner, who had encountered the artist Aubrey Heighton while on vacation in Algiers. What made the portrait so unusual was that the image of the dog appeared to be laughing at the artist, at the doctor. It's hard to be sure. And Dr. Challoner, who appeared to be both angry and more than a little upset by the strange portrait, nevertheless agrees to help Heighton find a job as a commercial artist back home in England. It isn't long before Dr. Challoner is home in the town for Sturton-Lacey, and Heighton is living in a lovely hotel very close to the doctor's office. And the next time we shall hear about the doctor, he is dead. His strangled body is found in his own office. When the body is found, police quickly finds what appears to be a copy of the unusual caricature. One of my favorite works is A Case of Spirits, and it wasn't as if Sergeant Cribb has suddenly developed an interest in spiritualism. No, here he was interested primarily in a couple of odd thefts of some rather peculiar art. Thefts which might have involved some of the people taking part in a couple of private seances, seeking to get in touch with the spirit world. It was one of the popular pastime in England during the later years of the 19th century, and a fair number of people wanted to find out for themselves whether there was some truth to the stories about visitors from beyond. There were plenty of mediums, people whose presence seemed to spark otherworldly spirits to communicate through them, and there was a good living to be made by becoming a medium. Sergeant Cribb had a pretty good idea about those thefts, but he was pretty well confounded when a seance went very wrong and somebody was murdered. It was indeed A Case of Spirits, which is also the title, by Peter Lovesey. While all these are enthusiastic cops, we all see an unhappy policeman in thread softly. Chief Detective Inspector Andrew McMorran of Scotland Yard is a very unhappy man. A man has come to his office to turn himself in for killing his wife. Claude Merivale admits he strangled his wife. Clearly, to McMorran, an open and shut case. But, and I'm sure you saw that but coming, Merivale says that he was sound asleep and in the midst of a nightmare and consequently didn't know he was strangling his wife until he woke up and found her lying dead in his arms. And since he quite clearly was unconscious, he argues, he cannot be found guilty of murder. All the evidence certainly backed up Merivale's story. There appeared to be no motive for murder, and not a guilty verdict from the trial jury appeared to be inevitable. That's why the inspector presses his friend, amateur detective and Scotland Yard consultant Anthony to look at the case and see if there is a contradictory evidence which could expose and convict a cunning murderer. This happens in Thread Softly, a 1937 mystery by Brian Flynn. The police procedural retains the basic conventional elements of the detective genre: plot and motives, characters, setting, theme and props. But it twists these elements and weaves them into legal setting. Having established itself as a subgenre, the police procedural grows to become formulaic by creating its own textual convention. It's a formula that's generally employed by writers and has come to be expected by readers and viewers. By doing so, the police procedural has helped the detective genre, as its parents' genres, stay popular. By attaining its own textual convention, the police procedural has flourished to become an established subgenre of the detective genre. And at present, the television has become the right medium to see how the police procedural has helped the detective genre maintain its popularity. Entering the new millennium, the popular detective drama series on American television were in the form of police procedural, and many of them have become long-running series that have spin-offs that are as successful as the original works. More on this in my next video.